Everyone, welcome to Provide the Spark. My name is Gabriel here with Curious Sports Pulse. That is a great weekend for sports. Not only is there the Grand Prix, which is something that I normally don't pay as much attention to, but we are full swing with the WNBA, with the NBA, and a little bit of football talk. So with Luka Doncic, it goes without saying, winning helps to cement your legacy. Winning helps you to climb the ladder in terms of how you're viewed as a player, and being the most important player or being one of the critical pieces of a potential championship run obviously helps your stock. But I'm kind of wondering, in terms of Luka Doncic and assuming the Dallas Mavericks go on to win, regardless if he is viewed as the best player or if it's him as 1A or Kyrie Irving as 1B, as E-Rock put it, I think Luka is putting himself in a position where we have to seriously say he's the best active player in the league. Now, of course, many are going to say it's currently Jokic. Some are going to say it's Giannis. Some still have it as LeBron. But I think that what Luka is doing, he is in the conversation for sure. And honestly, he's impressed me so much, not just in this playoff run, but particularly toward the end of the regular season, where I would be comfortable in saying, yeah, he's the best player in the NBA right now. Also, Anthony Edwards, did you hear what he said? Apparently, he's now really ready to go. So before he was ready, he was preparing himself to take on the Dallas Mavericks, but for Game 3, he's really ready to go. But more on that in a moment. First, Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert. Now, where am I coming with this? I just spend my time probably way more than what I should, but I just spend my time looking at the events on the internet. Again, probably to the detriment of my mental health. Hello, hello, Iraq. And so, as you're
But
joining us here, Iraq, look at this. This is what PFS posts. Justin Herbert or Dak Prescott, pick your QB. Now, are they engagement farming for because he's at the Dallas Cowboys quarterback? Probably. But this actually, in my mind, raised a legitimate question. Where would you have this?
oh man, that's a complex question. Sorry, guys.
Right?
Memorial Day had to jump in. I hadn't jumped in a pool in years. Actually, now I say weeks, years. Oh, felt great. Feels great. Okay, everyone, go out and enjoy this beautiful day. If you're having, hopefully, you're having a beautiful day. This is a very complex question. Okay, Herbert hasn't had. He's had weapons. He's had bad coaching. Then again, so Prescott. I actually would be hard pressed. I would take Prescott right now over Herbert if I was building my team around. Technically, only out of the ceiling is higher for Justin Herbert, but right now because of resume and because I know he's a proven commodity, I would take Dak Prescott. What do you think? I know I'm surprising you
uh,
right
uh,
now.
okay, and get a little deeper if you don't mind. So why
Okay.
is it that you're picking Prescott over Herbert?
Well, Prescott, he was probably the best passer in the NFL last year, and he's had nothing but success overall. He had one struggling year, and it wasn't even that bad. It's just because he played under the microscope because he's played for the most recognizable brand in the NFL. Herbert is good, no doubt. He's got a lot of talent, but he hasn't proven the amount that. If you look at the numbers, Dak Prescott is just as good as Justin Herbert, and he's probably played with less. Now his coaching maybe better.
Yeah, they're not in the pool. Supposed to go somewhere.
Sorry, excuse me. His his. I mean, he's had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. He's had Austin Eckler. Offensive line's been spotty at times, but Prescott's had an old offensive line that's gotten patchy up and there, up and down. They haven't done them any favors. They got rid of one of their running backs, so they only have one running back. That's why I would take Dak Prescott. I feel like he's more of a game manager than Justin Herbert is, and strikes me. Don't know this to be true. Strikes me as more of a leader.
Well, yeah, with Prescott, it's always been about the intangibles, and that's what separates him when you're comparing him to quarterbacks who have better stats. They
Yeah.
say, but his leadership, and I think that's fair. Herbert, it's a little bit of apples and oranges. I mean, I think the Cowboys, it's just an unsustainable organization the way they run things there. But I mean, they've given him hope.
Jerry Jones. Excuse me. Sorry.
Well, right.
I had a cough. Sorry. No, I had a cough. I apologize.
But I mean, they've given Dak Prescott weapons, and he's had one of the better O lines in the league for a lot of his playing years throughout the season. So
Sure.
I don't know. For me, in terms of help, it's about even because Herbert too has had weapons. I would give the overall coaching. Are you giving the overall coaching nod to
Dak, probably.
To Dak? Okay.
Herbert's had Don Staley. That was a huge injustice to him. He's going to have the best coaching he's ever had coming up this season, and that hurts me because I hate Jim Harbaugh. But at the same time, he's a quarterback whisperer, so we'll see. AKA JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, he even got JJ McCarthy to be a top 10 pick.
and time. Our first JJ McCarthy reference. And time. There we
go. But so I got to look at what the prompt was actually. If it was who's better or who would you take. We can separate though. Let's split the conversation. So if you're taking it for this upcoming season, you have a one-off year. You're saying you would 100% take Prescott. Is that what you're saying?
All right. I'll just to clarify, the ceiling is higher for Justin Herbert. I think he's more talented. He's got a better arm.
Mm-hmm.
He's got good field vision. He's got accuracy. Well, to an extent. Sometimes he makes erratic throws, but it's also erratic passes. That's also because of the coaching and the schemes that he's been introduced with. He got Kellen Moore, ironically, who was coaching Dak Prescott this previous year. I don't know if he's still. I think he probably got let go the way of the dodo bird, as I said in the previous show, when Jim Harbaugh got there. I have no faith in Kellen Moore. God, I'm so old. I remember him actually being in the NFL.
I remember at Boise State.
There you go. See, there you are. An old soul and a young man. All right, there we go. Better talent, Justin Herbert. Who I'd rather build my offense around? Dak Prescott, because of experience, leadership.
Yeah,
and playing in Dallas is higher pressure than any job in the
yes.
NFL. So he's had to be under the microscope. That's where I would go with that. That's where I differentiate the two.
But is that for both a one-off year, and for 5 years?
For a one-off year, we're just taking everything they've done up to this point out of it, just talent-wise? Is that that's what I mean, though?
No. So I'm saying you get to pick your quarterback for 2024, 2025. Who are you picking, Prescott or Herbert?
Dak Prescott.
Okay, and so that's the first conversation. So in a one-off year, I think you do have to go Prescott because of all the things that you just said. For sure, both of these players have overcome, though, and I think have done more or less about as good as they could have within their given situations. So now, sustainably, now let's move the conversation to who would you want to build your franchise around? And when you say that, you typically have 8 to 10 years in mind in an ideal world. But at least that's what you're planning for. Are you still sticking with Prescott then, or is it Herbert because of the youth? Or are you just saying Prescott is that good where even if there is a fall off at the end, you're still taking Prescott?
It's tough. This is actually really close because I think Dak gets a lot more flack than he deserves. The Dak of the flack when he's on the attack doesn't deserve the shade that he gives. And no, I'm playing. All right, I'm done. I would take Herbert because of talent alone. I mean, I'm not as high on him as like Mike Tannenbaum is, where he's literally like wants to adopt
Oh
him
my God.
as
Yeah,
he wants
seriously.
to adopt him as his own damn son. But he is extremely talented. He's like Bo Nix on crack, essentially. Like, or that crack was bad. Bo Nix on metaphorical steroids. That dude is like really damn good. They both went to Oregon. That's what. But Justin Herbert's great. If he was in a better system, if he was in Houston and replacing C.J. Stroud, he would do better than C.J. Stroud. He would pass.
Oh, okay.
He would have passed for 4,500 yards this past year.
Dang.
I have no doubt in my mind. Because also, no. He needs a better. Their defense is unreliable. He plays on the field a lot.
Yes.
I mean, it means his offense is. They're playing shootout ball, and that is not good for them. But in terms of talent, if I was building, we said we're starting from scratch, and he said,
Yeah.
"All right, I want to have my quarterback. I'd pick I take Herb. I take Herb, bro." But it's not that. But it's not as far that you think as a differential. Like, as Prescott, I think is underrated. I think he gets a lot of nonsense his way. Prescott's really good. But Herbert, in this question, yes, in this context.
Yeah. And I think you're right in terms of this is so we are also engagement farming, by the way. Shout out PFF. But I actually like this question. I think this is actually a good question because it is closer than what people may think initially. So 100%, this is good engagement farming.
Absolutely. No. People need to put some spec on Dak's name, bro. I mean, dude what does he have to do? I mean, he needs to win a playoff game. You know what? There's like 21 other players on the field, both sides of the field. I mean, it's not all on Dak. Dak did have, don't say the regular season doesn't matter, or else they wouldn't have won the division. Did they lose to the Packers? Absolutely. Did he lay an egg? Of course he did. But he wasn't the only one. Their run defense.
Yeah.
It's Jerry's fault mainly. He hasn't gotten them run defense. He hasn't paid CD Lamb yet. He hasn't extended Dak yet. He hasn't extended Micah Parsons yet. The draft, they had a good draft. They always do, but Jerry's a senile, cheap, rich man. It's like one of the cheapest rich dudes you'll ever see. All right, either way.
Now let me give you this now. You kind of triggered my mind when you said your last statement. Justin Herbert on this Dallas Cowboys team. How would that go?
That's impossible to say. Honestly, I know it's a cop-out answer. It's impossible to say because it's such a wild card playing under that old miser. But I don't know. It depends on how his demeanor is. I mean, he's playing on a team that has no expectations because no one cares about him in LA. Versus he's in Dallas and everybody cares about him across the nation. In the system, I don't know. If I had to speculate, I think he would do really well.
Really? Okay.
I think he'd do well. I think Dak has done as well as anyone could. Dak's probably the best quarterback they've had since Troy Aikman.
Yes. And that is what can't be lost in this conversation is Dak has overcome and Dak has done well in this really high pressure environment. He has relaxed enough to be competent. I was trying to sneak that one in there. So credit to Dak. Is he a little more limited than Justin? I think so, just in terms of raw talent. But I don't know if that matters for if you're going to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys under Jerry Jones. And speaking of being under Jerry Jones, this is not going to be a good segue. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, they both start with J.
There we go.
There you go. Hi, Joe. Hi.
Hello.
Can't wait.
I had you as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys in that segment.
I can't wait
somehow.
I can't wait to see you on the game show later. Joe is also a very important part of our shows. This guy is teaching us what Twitch is. Just letting y'all know. We're apparently Twitchers now. We're twitchy.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. But Joe, this was the prompt. This was the prompt that we were working with. And I love the Twitch. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I love it. I think that's how you say this. But anyway, So this is PFF engagement farming. So I said, why can't we do that as well? And so they just begged the question, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, pick your QB. I'll let you interpret this however you want to, but what's your answer?
I'd take Herbert. I take
Defend
Herbert because I
yourself.
already know what Prescott is. Prescott is who he is at this stage of where he is. Herbert is in a situation where the situation around him has changed, and he may actually get to maximize his potential without Brandon making terrible decisions on his behalf. So with that in mind, I think the question's kind of funny though if you think about it, because there, and E-Rock made an allusion to it earlier, alluded to the environment, the whole like nurture versus nature situation, right? So like, is Prescott who he is as a winner or loser in this league because he plays for Dallas? Is it because of his own skill set? That's for interpretation. And if he doesn't cut that check, we may end up finding out. As far as Herbert's concerned, I think this is the opportunity to kind of like really actually see where and who he could be with a proper structure around him. I kind of think about how Trevor Lawrence started and how the situation was with Urban Meyer and how that all took place. And now that he has I say championship structure because Peterson has won a championship with the Eagles, but I don't think we saw enough there because he left so soon after that because of like, I guess the power struggle or however that turned out, what direction they were going, Wentz versus Hurts, how that all played out, whatever. But it's kind of the same thing, but not directly, right? But I mean, he's playing for championship coaches, is he not? He's, Harbaugh's just coming off a championship. Peterson's won a championship. I think we judge Herbert now by what he does under this regime, as opposed to Prescott, where he's been there and he's done the things and he took over for Romo and he was supposed to be the guy. That's Romo was on his last legs on the way out, yes, but at the same time, like, he was the guy that was tabbed under that structure, under the new regime moving forward. It's like, all right, Romo's done. This is our guy now. He's been there long enough for us to know who he is, I guess, as a quarterback. So that's why I would take Herbert over Prescott, just because I think under this new structure, this is how we tell who he is, and I think he has more upside, in my opinion.
There we go. New hot take. Not even a hot take. Harbaugh's latest championship with Michigan counts as 2 because he had J.J. McCarthy as his QB. Moving on to the NBA. Anthony Edwards is ready to go. And E-Rock, I want your take on this first, please. Before he was just kidding around, it was just for giggles. But y'all going to see tonight, it's going to be a lot of shots. He's going to be more aggressive for tonight's game 3. E-Rock, do you like it or love it?
I'm indifferent because shots haven't been the issue. His average shot distance was from 20.5 to, he really closed the gap to like 18.5. He's taken so many damn shots, but they're all jump shots. That's not his bread and butter. I think he's getting tired, which is so weird for a 23-year-old. I said it on the previous show. I'll say it again. It's weird to say, but he's carried the load so much he's getting tired. Now, do I think he's going to come out firing? Absolutely. Now, can he stay out there like watching the Pacers play? Is he going to come out and stay firing? Is he going to stay aggressive? Can he maintain that aggressiveness? I don't know. That's waiting to be seen. I still think that the biggest thing now is I still stand by it. Put Rudy on the 6 man and put Naz Reid as the 5, Cat as the 4, because it's more agile and it matches up way better with the lineup of the Mavs. Rudy Gobert looks lost out there. He looks lost. I mean, yeah, he's had a couple of good plays here and there, but he's overall looked lost. So, I mean, Ant does need to – he needs to draw more fouls. He needs to – it slows the game down. It helps them out. It gives them some breathers. It gives them free throws, which, free throws are crucial in this situation. Maybe not with Rudy Gobert shooting it, but everyone else. Okay, so well, again, that's why he's a sixth man. I should say. I mean, I'm indifferent about it. I want his money where his mouth is, just like he has been.
Fair.
The previous time he said this, he slapped the last time that he said this. Well, I want to see it though.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. That's fair. Joe, do you agree with Iraq? Rudy Gobert needs to go to the bench. I'm actually kind of on board with him on this one. I really am. It makes basketball sense. Will it happen? No, but that would make basketball sense.
Exactly. Yeah, probably won't happen.
It's going to make the path to the basket a whole lot easier if you have threats on the 4 and the 5. So, me personally, it'll open up the spacing. I think Rudy jokingly said in Game 3 of the last series that, you know what, I may just take this game off too because you guys did so well without me in the first two. And I mean, he said it jokingly, and Kat looked at him like you wild for that, and I'm looking at him, I was like, no, he's not wild for that. Like I respect that very much. Someone told me it's funny that we're on this topic, and I'm glad that the three of us are here because someone told me a while back that Ant wasn't the leader of this team. And I thought that was a very interesting take. And the fact that we're at this stage now asking for him to be more aggressive or asking him to do more is actually a very interesting perspective that I'm listening to right now. Let's go ahead and dive deeper into this. He's right about how far Anthony is shooting away from the basket. Why is he tired, though, by the way? Why is he tired? Let's look into that. Cat's supposed to be the number 2, right? 4 for 16 last game. Yeah. So he's tired because he's had to carry the load. Why? Because his Robin is not being a Robin. And we already determined that he wasn't a Batman. And so if he's going to be a Robin, he needs to be an actual suitable Robin. So with all that being said, if he's tired, maybe that's the reason. Maybe we should look into that. As far as moving forward into the series, Ant's that dog. He's proved he's that dog. He took the previous champions out. He's on a tear. He's going to let us know more when he goes to the Olympics in Paris. But before he gets there, he wants to win a chip. And I wouldn't put it past him if he has a very efficient night getting to the basket, drawing fouls, getting to the free throw line, slowing the game down because Dallas wants to play with pace when they have the advantages. It's kind of like two trains of thought. Luka's kind of like he's a triple threat in the sense that he can get to the basket with his speed. He knows how to go downhill in a way that you're looking at him and he's like, how does he looks like he eats at Popeyes every day. How is he getting to the basket so easily like that? But he still has a way of getting to wherever he wants to go. Shout out the step back 3 on Gobert. So them having the ability to, play at that pace, having a Gafford back there, having a Lively back there where that dunker spot's always liable for a lob, that kind of like away from the basket action, it gives actual lanes into, and then if they're going to come and close on the driver, that dunker spot's viable. It's live right there. And Gobert is going to be great there. What the problem is when you have 5 people on the court, that can take advantage of the fact that you don't want to go out there. That's going to be a problem. That's where Naj Reid comes in. Preach
it, Pastor.
Yeah, that's where Naj Reid comes in, and the guy's been balling this series. Naj Reid, McDaniels, those corner threes are viable. They're a viable option out there. And if they make that move and, maybe have a lineup that suits to that more often than not, it's going to give more space in the lane for Edwards to get in there. And it'll make the offense a lot more efficient, a lot more. And you know what that also helps? It helps their defense. Because if they're scoring on one end, and then they're going to be able to set their half court defense on the other end, which we already know is lights out. They can stop a team. They could put a team that usually averages 110, 100 into the 80s and 90s and make this a really ugly game. And that's their path to victory.
Hallelujah. Preach it, Bishop. Preach it, Bishop. He just went on a roll. That everything he just said is gospel. Joe. Preach it, baby.
Honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's really worried about Ant.
I got the Lord in me now. I got like oh man, that was beautiful.
Oh wait, Iraq, hang on. Iraq. Joe, what do you mean by that?
At the end of the day, me personally, I don't want to speak for me personally. I'm not worried about Anthony Edwards.
I'm not.
In terms of who I've seen as a player, what I've seen in these playoffs, I'm not worried about what he's going to be able to, because even with him not being as efficient, he's impacting the game. He's making the right plays as far as finding teammates, and McDaniels is going off this series. Like guys like that are getting opportunities when he's not, hitting shots. He's still finding ways to impact the game, whether that's on defense, whether that's facilitating to the team. So it's not like he's out there and he's zeroing or singling all his stat lines. Like he's finding ways to impact the game.
Whenever it comes up again, I'd like to push back on
just go Iraq. All
right. Just quick pushback. I am concerned a little bit because it becomes a trend, and trends don't always just easily get broken. Granted, logic has no place in this world right now when it comes to sports. Hell, it has no place in anywhere in the damn world right now. But especially right now in sports and the NBA playoffs. Ant made a lot of stupid mistakes in crunch time in game 2. That was uncharacteristic of him. I don't think that's a thing that will continue, but he did make some really airheaded decisions during like crunch time, like turning the ball over, passing where no one was there, etc., taking shots where he didn't need to take shots, and he could have ran the clock. But overall, I'm with you. Overall, I trust him. But that's the only thing I'd push back about.
I am worried about Anthony Edwards in this sense, because I think we can all agree Karl Anthony Towns is more than useless, is a little less than useless for anything in the postseason and in terms of a leadership role. So he's not anything that I'm depending on. If you are, God bless you. And then in terms of Rudy Gobert, right, he's kind of one dimensional on both ends of the court. So Anthony Edwards is having to overexert himself. So I'm worried about Anthony Edwards because I think Charles Barkley said it right. He just has hit a wall, and that's not something that you can snap out of real quickly. So in that sense, I am absolutely worried about Anthony Edwards. Not worried about Nas Reed though. Shout out to him, 7 for 8, then missed the last one, going 7 for 9. So in that sense, I'm absolutely worried about Anthony Edwards. Or do you still not see it that way, Joe?
No. I'm sticking to how I feel about him as the player. I don't think people give him enough credit on an IQ level. Like there's moments where they cut to him on the sidelines, and when he's mic'd up and you hear his audio and you hear him thinking the game. I think he's got 2 games of footage of what they're doing wrong, and given that information, what's the average margin of victory? Are they getting shelled? Are they getting blown out of the water? The combined margin of victory is 4 points.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you have 2 games worth of footage of what you're doing wrong, and the margin of victory is 4 points, imagine what you do if you even tighten 1 or 2 of those things that you're doing wrong. Imagine how much better your game feels when you're completely, and again, Karl Anthony Towns, 4 for 16, lost by a point. Lost on a step back 3 at the end of the game. Your second best player is no better than your 4th game wise. Matter of fact, someone had to put an APB at him for the whole 4th quarter. I didn't see him. So Clearly, Coach Finch is seeing something in making that choice, because he just didn't have it tonight. So he rolled with the lineup that he rolled out there. That says something to me. But as far as Anthony Edwards himself, I trust his basketball IQ. I trust that there's enough footage in the last 2 games to show what he personally needs to do to help this team be better. Especially when the margin of victory is as short as it is. They clearly don't have that far to go to get the results that they need. They just need to clean it up.
Mm-hmm. So for tonight, then, Media Rock made our picks earlier. He bumped up the spread. Mavericks were favored by -1.5. Where are you kind of leading then? Do you think, or you don't even have to pick the spread if you don't want? Do you like the Mavericks or do you like the Timberwolves tonight?
Honestly, I like the Timberwolves money line in this game. I believe in them enough that they'll at least be 1 point better than the Mavericks. Because honestly, last game going into halftime, you're thinking this a whole different thing was about to go down. And I'm just telling you, with what I've seen from their second and third options, for them to be within 4 points of the team they're beating, like, they clearly don't have so far to go to get a dub, and they're living pretty good on the road so far this playoffs.
This is what I love about this, Joe, is between what you just said and everything that we've said previously, me and E-Rock today, one of us, if there were someone clipping this, one of us would look silly and one of us would look brilliant. You and me just see game 3 tonight totally oppositely.
I
And
know.
we'll see. It's just it's awesome because I respect what you bring to the table and the homework that you do, and it's just awesome that we can both have completely different viewpoints of the same game. So I love it. Go ahead, Iraq, wrap us up on this one.
Sorry, yeah, I'll wrap it up real quick. I want to agree with Joe. I really do. I really want to agree with him. Well, one, the Minnesota Timberwolves is like a way better team. It's like a way better series version of the Pacers and the Pacers and C's, because they get up to a lead and then they blow it. I want to believe that. I believe in a thing called dubs. And right now, I think this is a bad matchup. Honestly, the same way that it was a bad matchup for the Nugs. Like, if the Nugs had played the Mavs, I think they would have crushed them. But I think that this is just a matter of matchups. So I want them to win. I do want the Timbs to win. That's why I didn't call money line. In fact, I wouldn't actually even take the spread. I would 100% take the over, because, like I said, there's going to be aggressiveness, there's going to be fouling, chippiness, which means free throws, which means extra points, stoppage of clock. That's where you go over 207.5. That's where I'm at with that. But now, in terms of who wins, I mean, come on, man. I want to see a series. The other one's been so boring.
Yeah, that's fair.
The wackest ish in the freaking world right now. God.
All right, gentlemen, we have to move on from this specifically, but Joe already touched on the last point. Luka Doncic, I think, is really looking great, but he's really making that case of, I think he is the best active player right now in the league. That's how that's how I view it, because for a lot of the last part of the season, he's been operating on one leg and still torching defenses. And this isn't an offense defense who's the best two-way player. That's never been the discussion. It's always generally been, you give the nod to who's the best offensive player. It's more like an 80-20, 75-25 conversation in terms of offense, defense. And now Luka Doncic has tightened up on the defensive end. I would take him over Giannis right now. If I'm starting a team, I'd take him. Some still have LeBron. I would still take it over him. And now I already know what Eric's. Well, I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But I know a lot of people still would have Jokic. But overall, I kind of like what Doncic is bringing right now. Am I going too far, Joe?
Win a chip. and then I can have that conversation. He's in the same stage as the Boston Celtics are. It doesn't matter to me what they do in the playoffs unless they win a championship. He's been in the league long enough. He's been an MVP candidate long enough. He's had sidekicks in different eras long enough to kind of be like, all right, listen, at this point, you've got to win. You've got to win for me to make that argument. And a lot of people said the same thing about Jokic before he won a championship, and then he won a championship, and now everybody's like, oh, okay, all right, now I get it now. But until then, they were saying the same thing. They're currently saying the same thing about Jason Tatum and Brown over at the Celtics. They're just at that stage where it doesn't matter unless you win a championship. And at the rate things are going, like there are going to be some people who we've had that conversation about, and they're going to leave without it. Take a James Harden, for instance. He's at that stage where no one cares about what he does in the regular season, outside of him showing up and him not looking like he ate Thanksgiving turkey the day before. The only thing they care about him now at this point is do it in the playoffs, win a championship. There's just you get to a certain place as a star in this league where, not to devalue what it is that you do during the regular season, but you just get to a point where you're just measured by what you do in the postseason. And he's at that level. So until he wins a championship, I'm not ready to put him best player in the league conversation. I mean, he's in the conversation, but I'm not ready to make him the best player in the league.
Okay. Not ready to cross that line quite yet. But approaching. Just needs to win it all. Go ahead, E-Rock.
Well, let me start out in the great words of Roy Jones Jr. here, speaking for Michelob Ultra.
E-Rock. We can't be playing music.
Sorry. All right, what he says is, y'all must have forgot. Oh, shit, that was an accident.
Like, we're about a week in. We're about a week into the YouTube channel. We're gonna get a copyright strike.
I'm sorry.
Shout out to E-Rock.
Damn. I'm sorry.
E-Rock. I mean, all right. Should we try strike three? Should we try strike three, Joe? What do you think?
No, I think he's muted. Muted by now.
No, I thought I turned it off. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, YouTube. That was actually me rapping. That was my rap.
Yeah.
I was just quoting Roy Jones Jr. Y'all must have forgot. Michelob Ultra, in every sense of the word, is the best player in the world. He can play defense. He can play. Yes, I don't know how you can even say. I can't believe the words that came out of your mouth right there, like the beginning of it. That I'm not talking about two-way players. Like, well, no. It's not about like, oh, if that's the case, then all offense and Steph Curry's the best player in the world. I mean, obvious. But if you're going to like go with the best player, we're talking about a guy who is a point center. He is a facilitator, a rebounder. We saw him dunk recently, which we didn't even know he could really do like that. He plays, and he also is he shoots just as well as Luka does. He just doesn't do it as often because he's a facilitator. He shoots the exact same shot behind his head. They both do. No, he does shoot very similar to Luka. They have a Larry Bird shot, and they're both good, but he doesn't want to take it as much because he doesn't want to take the shots like that. Plus, he can back down. Now, Luka is arguably the best offensive player in the league. Arguably. Him and Steph Curry. I could probably come up with a cut like Halliburton, maybe SGA, maybe, but they're not even on the same tier. I mean, no.
How many times have you and me had a conversation where you didn't hear what I said and you just assumed something that I said, and then I clarify, and then I clarify, and then you say, "Oh, my bad." How many times has this happened between us, E-Rock?
Well, I heard you this time. At the beginning, your soliloquy, you said we talk about two sides of the ball, but like he plays both ends of the ball. You said that. Am I wrong?
Okay, so and you just made the point about Jokic, right? About how he's the best player. So is he a defensive stopper? Is he a defensive one-on-one ISO god?
Yes. He's really good. Yes, he can play the ball. Why do you think he gets so many rebounds, offensive and defensive? Why do you think he gets blocks too? Yeah, he can't jump off a curb. It doesn't seem like, but at the same time, yeah, his defensive stats aren't bad. They're
No,
not.
they aren't bad. He's
Not
not.
more
No
up
one's
than I
picking
thought
him.
he had, to be honest with you.
They're not.
No
They're not.
one's putting him in a defensive player of the year conversation. No one's putting on an all NBA defense any team.
Well, neither is Luka. Luka's
Well,
probably.
that's my point, Erock.
That's the point he was making.
I know. I hear that point, but no, Luka's not on the same tier as
No.
Nikola
So what again?
Joel
So,
Embiid is a better player. Joel Embiid's a better basketball player than Luka Doncic.
yeah, he's a better two-way player. Joel Embiid's a better two-way player than both of those guys.
Are we just talking
That's
about
never.
Are we strictly just talking about offense?
No, so again, if you would just listen, Erock.
I
So
do.
again, the conversation about NBA best player is never about who's the best two-way player. Because for a while, that was always Kawhi Leonard, for example. And no one was willing to put Kawhi Leonard as the best player, period. Right? More people would be willing to put Steph Curry as the best player. And we know Steph Curry, he's gotten better defensively, but no one for sure is putting him on an NBA all-defensive team, first, second, or third. But yet he's won unanimous MVP. So that's what I mean by the conversation is always more. It's like 75-25, 80-20 in terms of who the best player is in terms of offensive and defensive breakdown.
Well, I refuse that premise. I refuse that premise, and I will just rephrase the premise of who's the best offensive player in the league. Because the best player has to be. I don't care what that narrative is. The best player is.
It's not a narrative. That's how the MVP has been voted year after year. I mean, if you want to change the question, you can do that at another time. But this is the actual question I'm asking.
I reject their narrative. That is because it's stupid. It should be both ways. And so if I'm going to say, I'm going to change it to, and I'll acknowledge your question, best offensive player in the league. I mean, he's right there. He does need to win a chip. I agree with Joe. I think chips do mean a lot. I'd still say Steph's a more dangerous player, even at his age, even though he's like 2 years older than me. 4 years older than me. Steph's more dangerous. LeBron's still just as dangerous with his physicality, even at age 41 or 40, whatever he is. There's a lot of competition at that spot, but Luka is right there. In terms of a closer, I would put Luka right there at the top, though. Luka, in terms of closing games, he might be the best closer in the NBA. That I would say. In terms of like, you want that shot, you want to make that shot, you're 2 points down, you want to make a three, close that sucker out, Luka Doncic is your guy. His shot's impossible to block. He's like the old guy at the Y, like I said many times. He's got a dad bod, but somehow you're down 11 and you don't realize how it happened. Dude's like sitting there popping Larry Bird trays. I would say he is the best closer. He is in the top 3 as the best offensive players. He's in the top 5 or 7 and best players overall, both sides of the court. That's what I would say.
There we go. First of all, I love how you then eventually got to the question at hand. So kudos to you. Well done.
I want to give all round answers. All around.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of kindergarten where you give the circular round of applause.
It's fluid.
Yeah.
Fluid.
Yeah.
Fluid.
But right, this. So I apologize for Erock's disdain about how the NBA narrative is framed. It wasn't me. I've always been a fan, and I've always felt like it should be more 50-50. But right, Steph Curry has never been a defensive juggernaut. And a lot of people have considered him the best player in the league, period, at various points in his career. I think this is just how the NBA narrative is at the moment. But what do you think, Joe? You're kind of being a tiebreaker here. Go ahead, give nuance. Go give nuance if you want.
I mean, honestly, you just really have to look at one overlying point as far as how the league is. How are the rules skewed? The rules are skewed for the offense. The average points per game in this league is easily at least 15 to 20 points more than it was in the 90s. And that's because They got away. They took away the hand checking. They took away pretty much the physicality of the game. Um, they penalized that. They penalized the physicality, and now they try to correct it halfway through the season, and then they re-corrected back to towards the end of the season. So it's easy. It's easy to place those guys in that ilk as the MVP. That's how the league is skewed. It's skewed towards offensive talent. To Gabe's point, um, how many of outside of let's take Giannis out because Giannis is probably the only person that has ever been viable in our current era for both Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. I think he's one of the few people that's ever been up for both at the same time. But that goes to all that also goes to Gabe's point in the fact that that's probably like the one person that you can say that about. Luka's not going to be in any first or second team all defensive team. It's just not going to happen. He is who he is as a basketball player. Just like Rudy Gobert is never going to be up for an MVP award because he's not going to be able to score enough points to warrant that conversation. Guys are who they are in this league. And the way the league is designed, it's designed to promote offense. And you could actually say that about NFL too. That's why the MVP always goes to a quarterback. It's just skewed towards the offense. Now, at some point, Ant Edwards is going to get into the picture. SGA is currently in the picture. So those are two people that have a dog mentality on the defensive ends, and these are going to be players that are going to be within the framework for the next 5 to 10 years, and they may be players that can end up being all NBA, but also all defensive team and maybe up for an MVP award. But I think no one can argue that the league is skewed towards the offense, and that's primarily a reason why we see so many offensive-minded players in the MVP conversation. But all that being said, just to tie this one last thing up with something that E-Rock said, or actually both of you guys mentioned them. So it's a new time for the league right now. All right, your guys like your Kevin Durant's, your James Harden's, your Steph Curry's, your LeBron James's. You know what they all have in common right now as we're watching the playoffs? They're also watching the playoffs. And I say that to say that the competition in the league now is at a point where those guys there's no more 2013, 2014 LeBron James. He can't will you on a nightly basis into the finals anymore. Kevin Durant can't will you into the later rounds of the playoffs anymore. James Harden has never willed his team anywhere relevant to the finals. So it's a new league now. So maybe in that new league, maybe this next gen, we might see more stars taking more pride in that end of the floor, and maybe we start seeing more guys like Ant Edwards and SGAs winning MVPs. But until then, it's the rules are still skewed to the offense. So you're always going to see your Giannis's up there. You're always going to see your you're always going to see your Doncic's up there. Your Jokic's where maybe he's not going to be an all defensive player. He's decent, but he's not going to be a finalist for that award. There's guys that literally take so much pride on that end of the floor, and they're just not that. And a matter of fact, they don't even have that role on their team. Like Rudy Gobert is specifically a defensive player. He doesn't have an offensive role where that would even be a thing. So yeah, I mean, I get the argument. But yeah, I mean, the league's skewed towards the offense. So you're always going to have like offensive minded candidates either win or be in the running more than you see complete two-way players.
And I gotta say,
hang on, Iraq.
Okay, sorry.
And before you go, Jordan says Luka is that man for Dallas. He has that dog on him, not in him, but on him. And then Rudy had that puppy on him. Again, not in him, on him. And then when Joe was talking about Kevin Durant, he says K-Day has that snake in him. So that's where he said that's where it's in him and not on him. So shout out to Jordan. Go ahead, Ira.
That kind of put me out of my gourd for a second, because that was good old Jordan. He knows how to totally catch me off guard. No, I was just going to concede that he made a great point. In fact, everything he said was very reasonably put, and he's right. I don't disagree with a single thing he said, except for I would add one more name to the list. That's it. And Edwards already, he did mention it. And Edwards. Joel Embiid is a really good defensive player as well. That would be the only other person I put in there.
Yep.
Minus that, everything that Joe just said, I 100% agree with. And I agree with what he said I agree with what you said. I think there's a good middle ground when it comes to it. I just don't agree with the standard that the NBA holds.
Yeah, now that I can agree with.
The rules was a great point. It's the same as the NFL. That's why offense is scored so much now. And it's why the quarterback is always the MVP. So, I mean, it just is what it is. So, I mean,
All right, E-Rock, if it was 50-50, would you be willing to put, for example, Paul George in the conversation of best player? Let's take away, obviously he doesn't have a chip, but you get what I'm saying now. Is he the best two-way player?
Only because he doesn't stand. No, only because he doesn't stay on the court. At his full potential, yes.
Well, okay.
That's the reason why I didn't include Embiid in my argument.
That's the only. Yeah, and that's fair too. That's fair too.
yeah, true.
But
I'm just gonna assume he's only gonna play like 60 games. So.
Fair.
Best two-way player. I mean, Nikola Vulture is the best player in my opinion in the world. But Luka's in the top 5. I said top 7. I'll move him to top 5 because he comes up clutch. He plays a lot of the games. He plays through pain. In terms of we're talking about just straight offense, Kyrie Irving's got to be on that list too, because straight offense, Kyrie Irving ball.
Yes,
he can freaking ball, dude. And I usually hate him, but he's been an upstanding citizen this year, and that dude can ball. He's got the best handles. He's arguably got the best handles. No, not next to my dude, White Chocolate Thunder back in the Kings day, Jason Williams. Yeah, that dude's got the best handles ever. But he's got to be. Oh yeah, sorry. Oh wait, Joe, I'm sorry. I think you had one more thing you wanted to say. That. I'm sorry.
I mean, if there's a break in action,
I'm done. I just wanted to give you all props.
I heard Kyrie Irving, and we have a lot of things that we do as a team. Shout out to JC also.
Oh, no.
But one thing that we always say is that we do support growth on our podcast, and I wanted to highlight Kyrie Irving because him as a just like as a person, as a teammate, as I see him at every press conference after the game, he's kind of finally reached that balance in his life where everything that the media says or does, he doesn't take it as like a personal attack, or he doesn't he has just very, very polished responses, very calm responses, very cordial, very appreciative of who he is in this game and his place in it. And the funny thing is like all of these things that he's doing right now are all the reasons why the teams like the Lakers wanted them, or teams like that who were on the cusp wanted him, because they wanted this version of him. But the problem was they weren't really to financially or resources wise commit to someone who was as mercurial as he was prior to his Dallas stint. But you see the way he is now in press conferences, you see just the IQ, the comfort level he has with who he is and his place in this game. This was the this was the Kyrie that everyone that is a fan of the game or a fan of him personally wanted to see for so
Mhm.
long. And I just want to shout out that growth because I personally, me personally, and I'll end it here. I think it's a travesty that he wasn't recognized as one of the 75 best players in the game. And
Yeah.
I also think it's a travesty that he is an afterthought when it's considered for Olympic involvement or representing the
Yeah.
country at least this year. Maybe you can't say that in previous Olympic time periods, but this year, um, I think he deserved the spot. And
Probably.
just depending on where Hallie is in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, where that hamstring is, you always want to hope that he's going to be fine. He got voted in, or he got, the invite and he's going to go. You hope that his health is there. But in the event that, a guard does, decide, hey, listen, I think I'd rather take the summer to get my body right, get ready for another chip run in the fall. You hope that maybe, there's a spot for him on the team should a guard go down prior to going over there.
Absolutely. Jordan goes on to say the NBA cares more about the stars than fundamentals, but at least the refs are honest in their ref reports. NFL refs don't care. Kyrie, as a human, is a clown, but a humble clown. I think to what Joe said, I totally agree. So it's going to make it that much more great when the Dallas Mavericks defeat the Boston Celtics. Shout out to the Kyrie Irving era in Boston. Gentlemen, we got to get out of here. Uh, we'll let you go first, Joe. Anything you got to plug? Anything you want to plug? Slash any last final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, thanks again for the platform and the invite here. Always like talking ball with you guys. You can reach me at Java Juice Sports on the X. Um, yeah, I think let's just enjoy this era of basketball, because I think this is going to be a key indicator of what we're going to be seeing moving forward in the league. I think it's that time where we're kind of like handing over the reins to this young crop of stars. Your Halliburtons, your Tatum's, your now I include Tatum and Brown, but we understand that they've been here, they've been around, and it's just if not now, when. But I include them because they're in that age, this youth movement. Your SGAs, your Anthony Edwards. It's a really good time for basketball right now. Can't wait to see who gets crowns down the road.
Joe, thank you. See you
Later,
later.
guys.
Go ahead. You rock anything to plug? Slash any new shows potentially?
Oh wow. It's like you know me so well. In fact, yes, Mr. Gabriel. Yes, sir. There is a new show to plug, and it's in an hour-ish. It is going to be Scoutcast Media Hub's first game show, and I use that word very lightly, but it's going to be a game show slash like defend your take from back in the day. And this handsome gentleman to my left, y'all's right, what does it matter? To the left, to the left, to the left, and the guy who is to the right is going to be on there as well. We are going to have a good time. We encourage all comments and all love, whether you hate it, you love it, doesn't matter. Show it. There you go. Show it, man. Show all of it, man. Human clown, but he's
Yeah.
he's an inflatable clown or something. I don't know what he's
Oh
trying.
no! Well, no. I was like, well, hopefully we see this man, Jordan, and if
I
not,
wish
then
I,
be like Jordan.
I hope Jordan's on there. God, I hope Jordan's
I
on there.
want Jordan so bad to be on there.
I do too. Trust me, I do too. I want you so much on my show.
Shout out
But
Jordan.
either way, yes, it's going to be a great show. 6:00. Be there. Don't be square. Living at 09. You can follow it there. You can follow it there. Don't be square. It will be live streaming through my Twix, my Twitter X, and also YouTube and Facebook if you're still into Facebook for some reason.
Hell yeah!
All right.
And
Jordan
on
said,
the YouTube, your
Jordan said,
Scoutcast Media Hub, right?
Yeah, shout out Scoutcast Media Hub. Appreciate it for everyone helping out. Jordan's gonna try and make it. Woo!
Oh yeah.
I hope so. God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scoutcast Media Hub, and shout out to Sports Pulse, baby. Let's go, baby. Curious. Curious Sports Pulse. Thank you so much for having me on. Thanks for putting up with my antics as always. And you know what, Luka, we'll see what you do tonight, man. Let's show that you are the best again.
But just so I know going forward, you're Scoutcast Media Hub across all platforms, right? YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all that.
Yes, sir. And we just thank you so much. What a good hype man right here. Twitch, yes. In fact, the guy who just got off the screen has been an extreme help. Got me on. He hooked me up with Twitch. So find us on Twitch too. We're a Twitcher now. That's such a weird
word.
I know. I can't get used to saying that. We're twitching. No, but we're a Twitcher now, and we're gonna be trying to monetize. Gonna grow. We're gonna try and we're gonna collaborate. Or not merge, but we're gonna help each other out. This show, my shows. We all got to come together. Media, digital media, unite. That's what I'm saying. So thank you again.
Shout out the Beatles. See you later, E-Rock. See you around in an hour. See you about an
soon.
hour. That's all the time we have to do for today. Same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then all of my guest appearances, TBD. But if I'm not there, don't worry. Scoutcast Media Hub has something going on each and every day, so go ahead, check them out. Thanks, E-Rock. Thanks, Joe, for coming on, and shout out to Jordan. Thanks for getting our clown mention counter up. Appreciate you, man. Everyone, have a great rest of your Memorial.